Hey, what's going on, guys? Chess here with my DGBA D2 draft analysis. I'm gonna be going over my team. As you can see, it's rather like hyper offensive, which is a style of team I've been wanting to try for a while. It's, in my opinion, it's not the greatest in this current metagame because there's a lot of like more bulky or balanced teams, and it can kind of struggle versus certain teams. Um, there's some obvious flaws in this team, like my lack of hazard removal is kind of meh. Um, my just weakness to ice stab, the strong ice stab, is pretty prevalent. Other than like um, my last couple of picks, um, I don't. My team doesn't like taking on like strong EQ mons. Like considering my resist is a Mega Beedrill, and my immunity is Gligar, which won't come every week, although it is a relatively nice bring when it comes. Um, I'll go over them as my offense first. Here, let me just set that as my. So, my first overall, I won't go over them in in order of how I pick them necessarily. Just kind of go order of, just basically random order, honestly. So the start of my offensive core is Coco and Infernape. Um, it's like isn't necessarily like that good of an offensive core on paper, other than the fact that Infernape breaks the grasses for Coco and Coco breaks the waters for Infernape, I guess. And to a certain extent, it can break the dragons. Coco can, so that's nice. But I just liked the Volt Turn aspect of this. And as you can see, the Volt Turn continues in this team when I have stuff like Mega Beedrill there. Um, Infernape, it's just a very solid Pokemon with has a lot of utility. It's a fast Haunter, has rocks, has dual setup with Nasty Plot and Swords Dance, and I believe Brick Break. I mean, not Brick Break, Bulk Up, and it gets Calm Mind too, right? Yeah. Um, so it also has dual priority in Mach Punch and Vacuum Wave, which is very useful. I like to have 1 to 2 good priority users on most of my teams. I think that is very useful to have. Be able to revenge kill weakened setup mons and such. With Tapu Koko, I can even run like electric terrain boosted Thunder Punch, so I can surprise the bulky waters. And even with the Iron Fist boost, that will be hitting with surprisingly good damage, which is a lot of water types. Like people may think, oh, I can just wall this with my Tapu Fini or whatever, and I can Thunder Punch it to a KO, like tier KO on the switch in, stuff like that. So I like that aspect of the core where I can surprise waters with my Infernape with electric terrain boosted Thunder Punches. So that's cool. Has phenomenal coverage. It's extremely versatile offensively. It doesn't offer much defensively, hence why it's on the offense section. Good setup threat, good kind of a breaker if you slap a band on it. While it is a good Z captain, I opted not to give it Z because it was a Z point system, such as like a tier 1 mon. We had 60 overall points. A tier 1 mon was 50, and as you can see, my tier 1 Z captain was Kapukoko. So that's 50 of my points there, and I didn't really feel comfortable with giving it Z over my Infernape, as I believe Tapu Koko is a far superior Z captain than Infernape, because I prefer sets like Scarf or Band most weeks, or Setup. While Z move can be nice, I think boosting items like Expert Belt or Life Orb can also be equally useful as Z moves instead of Z moves. I do believe Infernape is a great Z captain, don't get me wrong, but I did not feel comfortable picking it over Tapu Koko, as that is one of the better Z captains in the format, in my opinion, with just being able to hit incredibly hard with like an Electrium Z or a Fairy Z. It makes it somewhat of a wall breaker. Tapu Koko, that is. Infernape can technically be a breaker with like SD and then Flare Blitz or Nasty Plot and then Overheat or something like that. It can break down some walls like that, but it's not really meant for that. It's a good Revenger. It's meant to just kind of like be like utility with how much coverage it has. That's how I, with like a fast Haunter, fast Rocker if I need it, which I am limited on Rockers. I only have, I believe, 3. Or no, I have 4. Yeah. So Infernape shouldn't be forced to run rocks all that often. So that should be fine at that point aspect. Next we have Tapu Koko, which is just a very good utility mon, very good pivot, very decent. I don't like calling it a good breaker because I feel like it's easily walled by certain things, like bulky grounds. It doesn't really break very well. Certain dragon types can chew any hit and kill it, like stuff like Kieran Black can chew the hits. I feel like it's just walled by a little too much to be considered a fantastic breaker, as basically every team will have a switch in, because every team has a bulky grass, every team has a ground type, so like a well-rounded team will have a switch in to Tapu Koko. So because I don't like calling it a wall breaker because they can just go into that switch in, and 90% of the time when you bring it in, you're just gonna click U-turn until late game you can clean up with it or something like that. I see it more used as an offensive pivot than a wall breaker, more used as like a fast taunter, as like a fast screen setter, even stuff like that, than just a straight up wall breaker. While it can fill that role with Z moves, I prefer Z moves to be able to surprise its switch ins. Like, oh, they go into a chain growth, I can just click Nature's Madness into Flying EMZ and knock that out. Stuff like that. I prefer Z Koko for that. In that sense, it can kind of be a wall breaker. And considering it has the top ending Z, so stuff like it can just bust through stuff like Ferrothorn, and then like it can like top any EMZ and then HV Fire and break that, stuff like that. Which I feel like that is very nice to have. That's a big reason why I did Z moves, because it lets it break past its checks. That's the big reason I gave it Z. It's also since it has such a fantastic speed tier at 130. It can pivot out on basically anything, and it functions as a great lead. It just lets me scout their stuff, maybe find out their Sky for turn 1, stuff like that. It's a fantastic Pokemon, although I do find it a tiny bit overrated because it is relatively easily walled by a good amount of stuff like bulky grasses, bulky grounds, stuff like that. Then my next pick was Make a Beedrill. I got this because it looks like a really fun run, and I'm trying to have some more fun in draft format at the moment. I'm not taking it as seriously per se. I'm just kind of trying to look for some fun, and I've seen this Mega used, and it always looks like a really fun time to use with stuff like Tapu Koko and Infernape, because I can just click U-turn like for days with this offensive core, and it's really nice. It gives me a Grounded Poison, which is cool. To soak up Toxic Spikes, give me a Toxic Spiker. I believe it's a Spiker, right? I believe it is. It is not. Interesting. It's a Toxic Spiker, though. I know that much. It technically has Defog if you about that life. Has like stuff like SD and Baton Pass, which I am allowed to abuse. So I will want to try that. I will want to try and like work that onto a build. Like if it's a later week and I'm already locked into playoffs, I'll definitely bring like SD Baton Pass into like Ferrothorn or something for some fun, or just something like that. Something for fun. Next I got Halucha because apparently people say if you don't draft Halucha with Tapu Koko, you're not utilizing its potential completely, which I think is completely stupid. But it's just a solid sweeper. Give me a good sweeper. And with how much chip I can get with just clicking U-turns with my first 3 mons, it can make it it can ease up the sweep for it. Fighting and flying stab is amazing. Like, not much resists that, except like Zapdos, regular Rotom, Aegislash, which is allowed but with no items. Stuff like that. Resist it, but it'll just be basically SD sub dual stab basically every week with an electric seed. That's that's pretty much the set on this mon. I forgot to mention that there was a few weird unbans, like no shift gear, no Z Magearna, no Z, no setup Naganadel, no nasty plot, darkrai, stuff like that, which I don't believe those are necessarily that balanced. So when I didn't pick up Magearna, which did fall to me, is because I knew one of my friends in the league wanted it, so I just let him have it, because, I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. But besides the point. My next pick was Diggersby, because it's something I've always wanted to use, but I've never, actually taken it. It hits like a truck with huge power. It's, Coco Diggersby is a really fun offensive core. While they're both kind of stopped by bulky grasses, they force the bulky grass to get chipped for each other to be able to clean up. Which I like having two mons that are walled by the same type of mon. Like, my Infernape and my Coco both struggle with bulky grounds. My DGBA and my Coco both struggle with bulky grasses. My Mega B and my Coco also both struggle with bulky ground, stuff like that. And as we'll see later, I have a really easy way to break past bulky grounds. Like, these are pretty much my wall breakers of the team, I would say. These are the 3 main breakers: Haxorus, Primarina, and Diggersby. Well, and Diggersby and Haxorus can be backup sweepers as well, with Dragon Dance and SD Agility, stuff like that. I did think about doing like a Z Haxorus and Z Primarina. I decided against that. But Diggersby also, I'll go back to Diggersby real quick. It gave me another U-turner, it gave me a spike stacker, just a really good physical breaker. The usual stuff like that. Next pick was Haxorus, gave me another physical sweeper, another physical breaker. As you can see, my team is very physical at the moment, other than like my Tapu Koko and Special Infernape, which is something that's just kind of a problem that stays my whole draft. I didn't necessarily fix it very well. I will possibly look into that with free agencies, but we will have to see. Haxorus also, since it has mold breakers, like Unaware Clef does not matter. Unaware Quagsire does not matter. Like, I can EQ Rotom, stuff like that. Makes it very, usual, stuff that would be able to wall it, like a Rotom Heat or something like that. You'd think, would be able to just Will-O-Wisp it. But then you just EQ it, and that's 4 times weak to EQ, and it dies. So it makes it harder to wall. Mold Breaker is just a very solid ability overall. It does a lot of shenanigans, just all over the place. It doesn't get hazards, but as an example, like I would be able to set hazards on a Magic Bounce Mon, stuff like that. It just kind of invalidates abilities that prevent you from doing something. So a lot of abilities it just invalidates, which is really cool. It has great coverage, has SD, has has Dragon Dance. The main thing it's really missing in its coverage is fire coverage that is not Incinerate. because it is not a great special attacker. Obviously, as it has what, like base 70 special attack, 60. Oof, that's not very good. But it's a very solid mon overall. Nice monstrous 147 attack stat. Good like 190, 92, 97 speed. Nice. I underestimated this thing. Um, it can function as a balance breaker with my DGBA too. So it's very nice for the team. Just gave me a really solid wall breaker that wasn't DGBA. Next is Primarina, or Primarina, however you say it. This thing is just a special monster. Nothing wants to switch into Specs hits from this. Like, Specs Hydro Pump does so much damage. It has what, like, it has 126 special attack. As you can see, its stats are relatively well-rounded other than the speed and defense. Everything else is very solid. Other than an attack too, but you're never using this thing's attack because it's abysmal. But it has good coverage in Psychic, Energy Ball, Dual Stab, a few others. Ice Beam has Greens, Shadow Ball has really nice coverage. It's very solid mon. Give me another fairy so I don't have to rely on Tapu Koko for that role. Oops, I need to stop clicking on random things. It gave me like my first true special wall breaker. As I said earlier, I don't like considering Tapu Koko a wall breaker. Same with Infernape. Because I feel they can do better in different roles, such as like offense pivot and stuff like that. And offensive utility. But that's my offense really. I feel like they complement each other very well. Because as you can look here, a lot of my offense does not like bulky ground types. And then stuff like Haxorus and Banded Diggersby and Primarina can just break those really easily, as they can the combination of those three mons can pretty much break anything, like, quite honestly. And then if they're not breaking like by that, they'll be breaking by super effective coverage from my Infernape or my Koko, or they'll just get chipped down by the Volt turn and the Hazard Sec that is coming in my defense. Oops. So the defensive core is Ferrothorn, Gligar, Musharna, and Corsola. While it doesn't look like anything special, I think they complement each other very well. Like, you may think, oh, Corsola, that's not a Pokemon, that's not a real Mon, but it's surprisingly solid for 20 points. This was a split tier draft, 1,020 points for some reason, so that let me get Musharna instead of like a bad bulky Psychic. Oh, also, Musharna is my tier 5 Z captain. It may seem like, oh, I just had to put it on a tier 5 one, but I feel like Musharna may have actually been my second Z captain. Well, like, if I didn't have to put it on a tier 5, I probably would have put it on Infernape. But Musharna is actually a very solid Z captain. With stuff like Z, just Calm Mind, Psyche, and Z can really make this thing a threat offensively and defensively, just to be able to try and take it down. Has Healing Wish, which really supports my offense. And, like, if one of them gets chipped down, I can just Healing Wish and bring it all the way back to full and remove any status from it, which is very handy to have. I believe it has Heal Bell as well. That's a G. Heal Bell. Yeah, it does. So it's a Cleric, which my last Cleric was, I believe, like Primarina, so that's not the greatest Cleric. And then stuff like Gligar and Ferrothorn, they complement each other very well. While they don't on paper, support each other's weaknesses very well. Other than Gligar resisting fighting that Ferrothorn doesn't like, and Ferrothorn resisting water that Gligar doesn't like. But it's mainly that they have to pick a hidden power. If they want HP Fire, they're probably going to be walled by Gligar. If they want HP Ice, they're probably going to be walled by Ferrothorn. So it's kind of that kind of deal, which I really like to have cores like that on my team, in which Gligar can also keep the momentum with U-turn. I believe it gets Taunt, it gets Haze, I believe, It does not. It gets SD baton pass as well, so I can do shenanigans with that. It is the best defogger on my team, considering the other ones are Halucha, Topakoko, and Mega B that never want to run that move ever, and they're not good at running it. Gligar also has a fantastic bulk with the Eviolite, boosting its pretty mediocre special defense of like 65, 65, something like that. Yeah. With an Eviolite and like max per def, it'll chew hits for days. It's a very solid Pokemon. It was originally Zoroark, but I realized like after like a day after the draft or so that oh wait, Zoroark's a tier 3B. That puts me 20 points over and without a tier 4, so I'm just stupid. Also, now Name can't make fun of me in the comments because I made fun of myself. So, um, there's also Ferrothorn, which is great hazard stack for my offense. It's a great it's nice to rely on for bulk as it can sponge a lot of hits. And if someone else wants to try and like spam electric move versus me, because oh I'll just set the train for them. I have a Ferrothorn and a Gligar, so have fun spamming electric moves versus them. And you can't run HP Ice and HP Fire to kill them both, so that's another idea of the core. Like, this team on paper may seem kind of like a meme team, as it kind of is, but I think I can honestly justify all of these picks. Um, and then the last mon is Corsola. People are going to sleep on this. It's the sad thing is, chances are going to be trading it away for a dark type. Whether that's Pawniard, Alolan Eradicate, Volibee, I don't exactly know yet. Has to be a 20-point rock type, dark type. But it's really sad. I really wanted to try this thing out. It's hopefully I can use it like week 1 or week 2. Hopefully I'll have a good matchup early. But this thing is really nice. Like, it has a lot of utility here. Like, it has rocks, it has regenerator. Like, the amount of stuff this little guy can do is very nice. It's also a 4 times fire resist for my Ferrothorn, which is pretty cool. And an ice resist for my Gligar. And then the fighting and ground weaknesses is resisted by the Gligar. The grass weakness is resisted by Ferrothorn. So, like, it fits onto my defensive core really well. But I don't like having a team without a dark type. Like, my dark type did used to be Zoroark, but I just don't enjoy having teams without dark types. That's pretty much it. It will be. I might try to get some kind of dark type that resists fire that isn't Alolan Eradicate, because I won't be running the Alolan Eradicate very often, unless I need to like check like a Blacephalon or something like that. But overall, I think this defensive core is pretty solid. Like, all the weaknesses are pretty well covered. It has some good cheap bulk in Gligar, Musharna, and Corsola. These are 3 of the best cheap defensive Pokemon in my opinion. Also, Corsola is so adorable. I love it. He's just a little coral guy. It's great. But I think this team, it's not great. It'll be a fun team to try out, and I'm looking forward. Sorry about that. I'm looking forward to building with it, but I don't think I'll do very well with it. I also have a pretty good big speed gap from Tapu Koko to Halucha, so that's somewhat of a problem. But I think it's fine, quite honestly. And then like I have the top speed two. I think my speed twos are pretty solid overall. My defensive core is pretty nice. My offensive core is phenomenal. It's overall it's a pretty decent team. I didn't really like it at first, but the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm thinking this actually could do a little bit of work if I could speak. But also if you want to see the order I picked stuff in, that would be up here. I think it should be a fun time. I'm looking forward to this league. Got some good friends in the league. Um, that's about all for today. Bye, guys.